Hi everyone, welcome back to another chess video. In this video, I'm gonna show you the game between the latest chess engines, Stockfish 15 and NUE, playing against itself. For white, it played a 99.4 accuracy, for black it's a 99.5 accuracy. The Stockfish 15 and NUE is depth 20, while the analysis is depth 30, which is why it's not a perfect accuracy. And there are 6 brilliant moves, 4 brilliant moves by black and 2 brilliant moves by white. And without further ado, let's take a look into this game. E4, E6, the French defense. Knight to C3, developing the knight. C5, Knight F3, transposing. This transposes into the Sicilian defense, the French variation. A6, D4, attacking the center. A6 prevents knight B5 and bishop to B5, and prepares B5. Takes, B5, and G3, preparing to move the bishop and fianchetto the bishop on this diagonal and try to attack the rook by pushing the pawn. This is the Kan knight variation with the move G3, which is the wing fianchetto variation. Black responds with knight to F6, A3, Queen C7, developing the queen, Bishop G2, Bishop B7, adding pressure towards this, and they have a fight on this diagonal. Castles, D6. D6, you can get ready to put the knight in the middle here, because if you put the knight here, you will block your bishop, and you can't really move it. You can't really move it here. You can just push this, and then you move here. And the knight is not in a very good position, so you put in this position, you're going for the center here, which is a better position. Rook E1, Knight BD7, Bishop G5, and Bishop E7. And Bishop E7 is the only good move. The current evaluation is 0.00. So Bishop E7 prepares you to castle short, castle kingside, and after take, you can take back with the bishop. So after takes, you can take back the bishop or the knight. And in this position, Bishop E7, according to the analysis you've seen, it's the only good move. Then you know what's the second best move? Make a guess. Make a guess. Okay, so actually suggest Rook D8, but it's only depth 15, so Rook D8 develops the rook here, but it pins yourself, but you can take back here though. So let's take a look at Rook D8. I'm really curious how Stockfish 15 analyzes itself, because it's the newest chess engine. Oh yes, if you want to play with Stockfish 15, you can either use the Stockfish analysis, which I've included the link below, or download Stockfish with the link below, or at stockfishchess.org. So Rook D8. The engine prefers Bishop E7 at depth 30 level. And Knight D5. You might be wondering, what is Knight D5? What is this? Okay, this is excellent. What's the best move? The best move is A4, trying to trade off. And you can bring a rook out. So Knight D5. Knight D5, you might be asking, isn't this a free knight? Yes, you can just take. You could take. Takes, King F8, and Knight F5. This allows, the reason why this is a draw is because white can easily win back the material. As we see the line here, bishop d8 tries to escape queen d2, knight e5, queen b4, knight c4, b3, bishop c8. So this is a knight sacrifice, but you can actually win it back, which you will see later in the game. Now the attack cycle coming in. So bishop c8 is the only good move to try to kick the knight off. And now the sacrifice, here it comes, knight takes d6. After knight takes back, bishop f4, which is the only good move to pin and win back the knight. So right now, they have sacrificed 2 pieces, 2 knights. The Stockfish 15 sacrificed 2 knights with this brilliant move, knight takes d6. And now he wins back the material. Takes, offers a queen trade. And now you see, just now, there are 2 knights. He won back a knight, and the other knight was traded for the 2 pawns, because he sacrificed 1 knight for the pawn and the other knight for the pawn. So he's only down 1 point of material, and he has more attacks here. While these 2 pieces, what's this rook doing? The rook is not, you can't even get out. The rook is trapped, which is why the knight sacrifice was good. It's very well calculated. And h5 tries to bring out the rook. c4, connecting the pawns, takes, and h4, attacking the king and trying to open up the position. Bishop f4, retreating the bishop. h3, and bishop h1, moving to safety. Bishop g4, bring out the bishop. c5, so just now the knight sacrifice, as I told you earlier, was for 2 pawns, 2 passed pawns. And these 2 pawns are going to promote, such that black has to sacrifice a piece to stop the promotion. Bishop a5, d6, rook f8. What does rook f8 do? What is this? The king is very perfectly safe here, and he can play king h7 to try to stop the promotion with the pressure. Of course, Stockfish 15 wouldn't allow that because it's an engine. Rook ec1. Rook h5, attacking this pawn. Rook c2, bishop f5, attacking the rook. Rook e2, bishop c3, rook c1, attacking the bishop, and bishop d3. Sacrificing this bishop for this rook. Rook e7. The rook on the 7th rank, activating the rook and restricting the opponent's king. Actually, when I saw this position, my first instinct was, what's that called? The move, like I sort of, maybe think of this move, like you try to get both pieces right. But, there is this move bishop d2 after rook e3, and then you just lose the game. I mean, you're still not completely losing, but you are trading off a rook for 2 bishops. You have 2 bishops versus a rook, and the rook is actually better in an endgame. So rook d1, bishop c2, rook d2, trying to win the material, and black has to defend this bishop to not lose any material. So rook takes c5, rook c7. After takes, you have to stop the promotion and you take the rook, take the bishop, which is the idea. Rook e8. Rook e8 is a very sneaky attempt to threaten checkmate on back rank because the king cannot go up because the pawn is there. Bishop e3. Very good move. Blocks the rook, attacks this rook, and if the rook moves away, take the pawn, take the bishop. So you have the trade. And now comes the brilliant moves. Bishop takes a3. Bishop takes a3 is like, sure, you can take my rook. You can take my rook. You can take my rook. So, but the Stockfish plays rook takes, which is a fair trade. Because, and this is actually the only good move, because that's a very, very sneaky trap. And we take with the bishop, it's checkmate on rook e1. So, So this is a sacrifice to try to move the bishop away and get a checkmate. So he has to take with the rook. Takes, and now takes the bishop. Instead of taking the rook. If you take the bishop here, I think it's also a fine move. But you can't move the bishop. Which is why it looks like a fine move, but you can't move this bishop. This bishop is pinned, although you can't see it. It's pinned. It's very hard to see, but Stockfish can see it. Rook c6, rook b8, again trying to attempt back rank and sacrificing this bishop. If you take the bishop, it's back rank. So this is why it's brilliant. Bishop to g2. Brilliant move by white. This prevents back rank and you are trying to take this. If you take, you can take the rook, take the bishop, and there's no way you can defend this. So bishop f1. Okay, so rook check, bishop f1. If you take this pawn, you can actually just take and then take back the pawn. Because the pawn, there's no way you can defend this pawn. And we see the analysis. Take a5 here. Like, Stockfish doesn't even want to take this pawn because you can take it anytime. There's no way you can defend it. So but he plays rook check. Bishop f1, knight e4, takes the pawn. And now they're equal in terms of material. Knight c3. Knight c3. f3. Knight c3 is a brilliant move because you sacrifice the bishop once again because the bishop is no longer defended. But if you take the bishop, knight e2 is checkmate. If you take the bishop, knight e2 is checkmate. You move back and then this is checkmate. Because the bishop is pinned. Which is why this is another amazing sacrifice by Stockfish 15 and NUE. And there's still more. So stay up to the last video. Last second. F3 preventing the back rank so you can take the bishop. And another brilliant. Bishop takes g3. So now you can't take the bishop because bishop takes g3. And rook a8 check, king h7, and takes back. You may be asking, what is this? Wouldn't you just be up material? So basically, if you take here, it's actually also a fine move. You take here, it's fine too. But here comes h2 check, takes, and black easily wins back the bishop. And he wins a pawn, which is why it's a brilliant move. You take, you win a pawn, because you can win back the bishop later. So this is an amazing move. Okay, for now I'll take a break. So, by the way, this is one of the videos that I released recently on my YouTube channel. After this video, you might be interested in this one, Stockfish 15 NNUE versus Stockfish 14, which is an insane accuracy. So I suggest you check it out. It's right on top. You can click after watching this video. Alright, let's get back to the analysis. So bishop takes g3, and rook a8 check, king h7, and takes back, check, takes, and he wins back the bishop. Now it's a draw, equal in material. Rook d1, rook a3 trying to attack the knight, knight b5 attacks the rook, rook a5 attacks the knight, rook b1, g4, rook b3 attacking, king defends, knight c3, bishop d4, knight b5, bishop a1, f6, g5, and then nothing interesting. Really, you want to see the line? I can click show line for you. Knight a3, rook a7. So bishop d6. This is just a draw. Yeah, and that's the end of the game, and there's really no much move. Everything's a draw no matter what you move. Like, this game is just never ending then. And see you in the next episode. Please click subscribe if you've enjoyed this video for more analysis and learn more chess. By the way, if you want to join chess.com, link is below. Check it out.